Monday, October 15th, 2018. I started reading How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. The first chapter was about not criticizing people. He writes that criticism tends to have the opposite effect of improving people. Simple enough. I never criticized or put anyone down, which is probably why I was well liked by my peers from past jobs and in school. There was a little story in the first chapter where famous airplane pilot Bob Hoover was flying a plane home after an air show. During the flight, the engine broke down and the expensive World War II era plane was damaged during the emergency landing. Hoover and his passengers were not injured, and he discovered that the plane was filled with jet fuel and not the required gasoline. The mechanic that worked on Hoover's plane was later visited by him when he arrived at the airport. The young mechanic, who anticipated a ruthless scolding by the famed pilot, had tears running down his face as Hoover approached him. Instead of being derided, however, Hoover threw his arm around his shoulder and said, "To show you I'm sure you'll never do this again, I want you to service my F-51 tomorrow." I actually choked up a bit reading this story. These moments of compassion always kind of get to me. Later in the day, I tried online dating. I made an OkCupid profile and, even though I said I wouldn't, a Tinder profile as well. I managed to get a single match on both apps. My Tinder match was a young black woman, 21 years old. She was slender and with curly hair and very cute. I messaged her but got no reply. My OkCupid match was closer to my age, 24. I actually prefer someone closer to my age as I feel a little uncomfortable around much younger people. My OkCupid match was a redhead who also had curly hair and was also very cute. She was very open about sex on her profile though, which I found intimidating for reasons I'm sure are obvious. I haven't messaged her yet. I should, but I don't know if I will. October 16th, 2018. During work, I bumped into an old friend from high school. He was a tall and pretty handsome person, with nice blonde hair. I remember going to his house once to play some video games. His house was huge and in a very affluent neighborhood, but when I met him today, he was dressed in pretty ragged clothes, and he did not age very well. I learned that he had an alcohol problem and was jumping between minimum wage jobs. It was pretty shocking, not at all where I imagined him to be. I tried to find him on Facebook, but I didn't know how to spell his name. After work, I tried online dating again. I managed to get 2 Tinder matches this time. The first one unmatched me immediately after I messaged her. Her bio mentioned she liked Marvel, so I asked who her favorite hero was. I actually thought it was kind of funny, to be honest. My second match actually messaged me back. We talked about our jobs for a little, but then the conversation went stale, and eventually she stopped messaging back. What makes somebody interesting to talk to? What makes them exciting to be around? And how do I become like that? Saturday, October 20th, 2018. I woke up around 8 a.m. and laid in bed for an hour after that. It's a bad habit that I really should quit. The longer I lay in bed, the harder it is to get up. There were days where I would lay in bed all day. I took a shower, got dressed, and went to my favorite Mexican place and had a breakfast burrito. Afterwards, I went to the gym. Yesterday was supposed to be back day, but I skipped because I had to work 12 hours due to being understaffed, so I'm doing it today. It was only 11 a.m., but the gym was packed. It sucked. It's a very small gym, and people were hogging the deadlift area. My workout took a little longer than usual. I got home around 1 p.m. Today, I'm going to a gaming convention. The main goal is to have a good time and try to meet people. I wanted to look as appealing as possible, so I styled my hair with pomade. It's like gel, but has a lighter hold. I used the water-based ones. They wash out easily. The oil-based pomades are nearly permanent. I don't recommend them. I like to apply it while my hair is a little damp, which gives it a wet, shiny look. I considered wearing one of my nicer jackets, but it was pretty warm out. I didn't want to get all sweaty, so I threw on a thin hoodie. I head into the city and arrive at the convention. I get my badge and enter the main showroom. I wander around scoping out the place. It felt like I was the only person who went alone. There was groups of friends or couples. No one by themselves like me. I had to pee, so I went to the bathroom. As I washed my hands, I checked myself out in the mirror. I was looking pretty good. I made my way to the arcade section. There were rows of classic arcade games. Virtual Cop, Double Dragon, X-Men, all the stuff I remember playing as a kid in the 90s. I walked around a bit and found a section where it was all fighting games. Now this is more my speed. I saw a guy playing Killer Instinct by himself, so I came and asked if I could play him. He enthusiastically said, for sure, and we played a couple matches. He wasn't very good, and I pretty much whooped his ass. I just spammed Jago's flying kick move, and he couldn't do anything about it. He said good games, we fist bumped, and he left. I was feeling pretty nostalgic, beating people up in the arcades at fighting games. Good times. A little kid stepped up to play next. Deep down, I really just wanted to wreck his shit, but his dad was watching and I didn't want to be a jerk. I kept the matches close and let him win both times. There was a little line forming on the Street Fighter 2 machine. I got in the queue and waited my turn. As I stood there, a guy approached me and asked if I was a Street Fighter player. I said yeah, and he explained that there's a local fighting game community and asked if I was interested in joining. Hell yeah, I told him. We exchanged names, shook hands, and he gave me a little card with some social media info. Well, this is great, I thought. I can definitely make some friends there. Shortly after, I hear someone call out my name. I turn, and it's a guy I knew back when I was in community college. We both had an interest in fighting games. We did a little catching up, and he introduced me to his brother and 2 other friends. We walked around the con together and played some games. We started watching one of the tournaments, and this is when things got a little awkward for me. They were just talking to each other while I stood there listening. I didn't really know how to enter the conversation, and there wasn't really any effort to include me in them. I felt like a fifth wheel. Their conversation went on for about half hour, but it felt like an eternity. Eventually, one of the friends left and the rest of the group was going to leave as well for dinner. I asked if I could join them. They said yes, and we headed out to some Japanese restaurant. I didn't talk too much, but I wasn't completely silent either, and I had a good time nonetheless. The ramen was delicious too, better than the stuff you eat out of a styrofoam cup. After dinner, I had one of the guys take a photo of me in front of the restaurant. For the first photo, I smiled with my mouth closed as I typically do because I have pretty horrible teeth. I never got braces when I was a kid. I reached for my phone, but he held it away from me. Nah, this photo looks bad, take another one, he said. So I got back into position. Then one of the guys cracked a joke that genuinely made me laugh. I took my photo back, and what I saw was pretty amazing. I was smiling, with a big open grin. It just looked so natural and unforced, because it was. I didn't think I could smile that well. We drove back to the con, then parted ways after that. Not counting my parents, that was the first time in years I didn't eat alone. After I got home, I added them all on Facebook.